Which mainline Halo game has the darkest history and caused the most issues for the franchise? Halo has been around for more than 20 years since Halo CE shipped in 2001, but the franchise has been struggling to keep fans happy for more than half of that time. For over a decade now, Halo has faced controversy after controversy. Every longtime Halo fan just wants one thing: for the incredible potential of this franchise to finally be realized. I think the key to seeing Halo reach its potential is in understanding how we got here in the first place. We're at the end of 2022, Halo Infinite is facing a seemingly impossible rebound to greatness. So, which Halo game has the darkest history? Halo CE shipped in 2001, and other than one other Halo game, it really has no dark history to speak of. Combat Evolved revolutionized first-person shooter games on console, offered an incredible new IP to the world, and a gaming experience people had never seen before. The game certainly has not aged perfectly, but its history is as clean as it comes from video games. So, on to the next Halo game. Halo 2. It's looked back on with rosy and nostalgic eyes, and quite a few Halo fans would say it's their favorite Halo game, myself included. But Halo 2 has a dark past you might not know about unless you were there when it launched. Before Bungie released Halo 2 in 2004, Halo fans thought they were going to get something much different than what was shipped. The marketing for Halo 2 featured the catchphrase, "Earth will never be the same," and clearly made it seem like Halo 2 would be all about protecting Earth from the Covenant. But then Halo 2 released, and the campaign only featured 2 missions on Earth. And then the game ends with Master Chief returning to Earth to finish the fight. This left a lot of Halo fans at the time deeply disappointed because the game seemed to quite literally end right before we got to play the game the marketing had sold us. When Halo 2 launched, the Halo competitive scene was already a thing with Major League Gaming. But Halo 2 led to outrage in the competitive Halo community. Halo 2 multiplayer on launch day had a much weaker battle rifle, grenades, and melees. This upset Halo CE competitive players because there was basically no strong starting weapon like the pistol. Bungie eventually released a patch for Halo 2 in April of 2005 that made the battle rifle a strong and balanced starting weapon, as well as buffing grenades and melees, which led to Halo 2's signature melee combo systems such as the BXR and BXB. But well before this patch arrived, a website called Halo2Sucks.com was created less than a week after Halo 2 shipped, which declared, "Bungie ruined Halo." Indeed, Halo 2 is the game that birthed Halo fans getting mad at the developers. As toxic as the presentation was for the complaints about Halo 2, it is undeniable that Halo 2's gameplay is quite a significant change from Combat Evolved's. This is somewhat of a deviation, but an overarching problem that is definitely part of the dark history of all Halo games is that although every Halo game is a legitimate Halo game, gameplay is significantly different between every single game. This fractures the fan base and has guaranteed that a portion of fans would be unhappy with every release because the changes between games are so significant. This is opposite to like Call of Duty and Souls games, for example, where the core gameplay has remained more intact with each entry, which is perhaps a big part of those games' success. Anyways, as dark as some parts of Halo 2's history are, what saved the game was its literal world-changing online multiplayer. Halo 2's matchmaking system with ranks and different playlists was the first ever for console multiplayer games. Halo 2 literally invented matchmaking. Because of this, people tend to look back on Halo 2 more positively and overlook its dark history. Halo 3 is perhaps the only Halo game other than CE that doesn't have much of a dark past. The objective fact of Halo 3 is that it was almost universally positively received. The game launched packed with features, including innovative ones like Forge, the competitive Halo scene hit new record highs, and the game dominated all other shooter games on any console, even Call of Duty. The list goes on, and there really is no significant dark past to Halo 3, which is probably why it seems to be overall regarded as the best Halo game of all time. The only dark thing about Halo 3 is that its incredible success has never been repeated in Halo again. Halo Reach shipped in 2010, and no other Halo game has launched with as much content and features as Halo Reach, but that didn't stop it from having a dark history. Halo Reach was the first Halo game to feature a primary rifle with bloom and loadouts. Letting players spawn with things like on-demand camo and having random weapon bloom was the antithesis of the previous 9 years of Halo gameplay up until Reach. That being said, Reach maintained a healthy player base even 1 year after launch, where it was still top 3 on Xbox Live. The new to Halo features like bloom in and of themselves are not what is dark about about Reach's history. What's dark is that these features made Halo Reach the first Halo game where a significant portion of the Halo community began fighting with each other over what Halo was supposed to be. It is undeniable that Reach was the beginning of dark times for Halo. Reach implemented controversial to Halo features at a critical moment in gaming history. When Reach launched in 2010, Call of Duty had already taken the lead over Halo, which is kind of incredible because Halo 3 was the best-selling Halo game in the entire United States in 2007, but by 2009, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the first one, outsold Halo and became the biggest entertainment launch in history at the time. Halo Reach essentially tampered with Halo's winning formula in 2010, the same year Call of Duty Black Ops released, and broke the already crazy records Modern Warfare 2 had set. Now, it's unlikely any Halo game was going to compete with Call of Duty since Halo is Xbox exclusive, while Call of Duty is on Xbox and still to this day the more popular PlayStation console. But Halo Reach essentially cementing Halo being far less popular than Call of Duty is a significant part of Halo's dark history because of what comes next. 2 years after Halo Reach, Halo 4 released, the first Halo game fully made by 343 Industries. Halo fans clearly missed a Halo game featuring Master Chief because Halo 4 set new records for the Halo franchise and hit over 1 million active players in the first 24 hours the game came out. It seemed like perhaps Halo had a fighting chance against Call of Duty after all. But then Halo fans actually tried the multiplayer. It became obvious that a lot of the new features in Halo 4 multiplayer were inspired by Call of Duty. It's quite the coincidence that Halo Reach was the first Halo game to be less popular than Call of Duty, and then the very next Halo game clearly copied quite a lot of Call of Duty features. Halo 4 is the first Halo game to feature on-demand sprint, ordnance drops, custom loadouts, tactical packages, support upgrades, and kill cams. These Call of Duty features are the opposite of the gameplay Halo was founded on, which was starting players equally and having them fight over sandbox items on the map. But still, there's a ton of old Reddit and forum threads of Halo fans fighting with each other over these Call of Duty features. Whether these features were good is certainly up for personal debate, but the fact is that Halo 4 failed to retain a healthy player base. Halo 4 lost half its player base within a week, and it fell out of the most played Xbox Live games on Xbox within 2 months. After about a year, Halo 4 was pretty much dead and had the lowest player base out of any Halo game up until that point 1 year after launch, and was down by over 95%. To this day, it's the least successful Halo multiplayer in terms of retaining player base 1 year later. A lot of Halo fans might not remember also that Halo 4 began a trend of Halo fans desperately pleading with 343 Industries to make changes to the game that they thought would help, but seeing that 343 was either slow to act or chose not to act on the feedback. Halo 4 showed that 343 Industries was willing to chase trends that were not ideal for Halo and then double down on them. Halo 4's history is quite dark, and it left a majority of the fan base disappointed and, for the first time in Halo history, worried about the future of Halo. Most Halo fans were desperate for Halo to get back to its roots instead of copying Call of Duty, and that desperation will receive what seemed like a dream come true at the time: the Master Chief Collection, a promise of being able to play the classic Halo games most Halo fans missed.
It's about retelling Chief's entire legendary tale, precisely the way you remembered it.
Now, Halo 2's multiplayer was special for a lot of reasons, and we wanted to keep that intact. So Halo 2 Anniversary will contain the original Halo 2 multiplayer exactly as it shipped 10 years ago.
With most fans not even playing Halo 4, you could see why this was a dream come true. When Master Chief Collection released in 2014, it had been an actual decade since Halo 2 launched and 7 years since Halo 3. A lot of Halo fans were deep into their 20s at this point, and a decade was just enough time to feel nostalgic about potentially getting to experience a taste of Halo's golden years once again. But then Halo MCC launched, and it may well be the worst video game launch in the history of video games. Sure, there might be some other titles that are debatably worse, but the fact is that no one denies MCC should be on the list, and that says enough. On launch day, you couldn't even get Halo MCC to load. Days later, when you finally could, players discovered that matchmaking was beyond broken. There were so many issues with MCC at launch that I would actually need an entire other video to go over them, and I'm really not exaggerating about that. It was nothing less than a functional disaster, and for Halo fans, the worst video game launch ever. Which was then followed up the very next year by Halo 5, which of course has its own dark history. Halo 5 was the first Halo game to have launched incomplete and missing key features. The game launched with no Forge mode, big team battle, infection, and split screen co-op. Everything was eventually added other than the split screen co-op, with Forge arriving just under 2 months after launch. Halo 5's campaign is widely criticized for its confusing and weak storyline and being the first mainline Halo game to not have the player mostly playing as Master Chief. The darkest part about campaign was that Halo 5's marketing, much like with Halo 2, gave the impression we would be getting a much different game than we did. Halo 5 also introduced all kinds of advanced movement to Halo that, similar to Reach, caused fighting among the fan base. The timing of 343 adding these advanced movement features is also a little suspicious, as similar features were becoming a trend prior to Halo 5's release in Titanfall and Call of Duty Ghosts and Advanced Warfare. Halo 5's microtransaction system certainly created some controversy, but it usually is not among the top things about the game's past that you see Halo fans bring up. As dark as some of Halo 5's past is, over 6 months after it launched, it still had an extremely healthy player base. In fact, many months after release, Halo 5 had the most active players for any Halo title since Halo 3. You have to wonder what might have happened if Halo 5 had not been limited to Xbox One, a console that was beat down pretty badly by PlayStation 3 in terms of sales, and if the game had been available on PC. Warzone was the most innovative mode Halo had had in many years, but 343 failed to seriously iterate on it, and it never made it into Halo 5 sequel Halo Infinite. This just may be my opinion, but as far as I can see, 343 failing to iterate on Warzone is certainly part of the dark history of Halo games, because I think it's one of the biggest missed opportunities ever for the franchise. Warzone, a large-scale Halo game mode, arrived just before large-scale game modes like Battle Royale took off. Even to this day, a large-scale Halo game mode with AI PvE would be a huge hit. Anyways, as vocal as many Halo fans are about Halo 5's multiplayer, it was the most successful Halo game in terms of retaining players since Halo 3. 6 years after the release of Halo 5 comes Halo Infinite, which has quite the dark past indeed. Because it's the most recently released Halo game, it can be more difficult to identify what will be remembered the most looking back on Halo Infinite many years from now, like we can do with all the other Halo games. Halo Infinite will probably be remembered as the Halo game Halo fans waited the longest for, a full 6 years, the longest wait between any Halo game ever, and yet it being the most incomplete Halo game, having the least amount of content and multiplayer, and having technical issues that are a deal breaker for many, like desync. Infinite did not get its Forge mode until a full year after launch. Co-op campaign was delayed, and post-launch support had much less content than Halo 5, despite Halo Infinite being a live service game. Infinite multiplayer has what many Halo fans will agree are the worst server and networking issues of any Halo game ever, except maybe Master Chief Collection until it was fixed. And then there's the microtransactions, with Halo Infinite perhaps having the most boring and thus relatively overpriced items for sale when compared to any other modern live service game. The marketing for Halo Infinite was misleading as well, with the game containing almost nothing shown in the announcement trailer, and customization being limited and locked behind a paywall, instead of customization being very player friendly and having millions of options like what was promised. 343 promised a robust and content rich live service experience for Halo Infinite before the game came out, but what Halo fans actually got after the game came out was the exact opposite. Halo Infinite's post-launch situation was probably the darkest of any Halo game as well, as backlash got so bad that the entire Halo subreddit was completely shut down at one point, and 343 studio head Bonnie Ross was fired, with dozens upon dozens of other key 343 developers leaving the studio. The dark history of Halo Infinite is a Halo game that did not live up to the hype, converted classic Halo systems to a microtransaction system, launched incomplete and broken, and had post-launch support that has moved at a snail's pace, and also led to a gutting of 343 Industries with tons of backlash post-launch. So which Halo game has the darkest history? Well, Halo Master Chief Collection was the worst launch for a Halo game, and it only became worth playing many years after launch. But since ultimately it's a collection of old Halo games, Halo fans always had the hope of a new game to turn to. So honestly, based on all the facts and data, it would certainly seem that Halo Infinite has the darkest past. But what makes Halo Infinite difficult is that we're still experiencing its history, and it's theoretically possible the game can make a huge comeback, even though that seems pretty unlikely at this point. As much of a disaster a lot of Halo Infinite truly is, it still has a larger player base 1 year after launch than Halo 4, but not by much. So as you can see, there's a lot of angles you could take to answer this question. But as of the time of making this video at the end of 2022, Halo Infinite fairly easily wins the award for having the darkest history of any Halo game, because its list of darkness we went over in this video is quite objectively worse than any other Halo game. But unlike Halo 4, Halo Master Chief Collection, and Halo 5, the failings of Halo Infinite may have actually led to much needed change at 343 Industries and intervention from Microsoft. With almost totally new people in charge, including Joe Staten, one of the key people who made the golden era of Halo a success, history may see Halo Infinite as a failure of a game that shook Halo loose from its shackles and made it possible for Halo to return to glory. As turned off as so many longtime Halo fans are by Halo Infinite, I don't think the negatives of the game are so bad that Halo fans won't tune in for the next game. They might be done with Halo Infinite, but I don't think they're done with Halo. What the dark history of all Halo games shows is that once the franchise started chasing trends, it stopped innovating on what makes Halo special. Halo must triple down on what makes it unique, which is where it will find innovation. This is what Halo 2 and Halo 3 did. Although the gameplay is different between Halo 2 and Halo 3, it was mostly more of the same. Halo Infinite has undoubtedly caused damage to Halo's brand among mass audiences, but as dark as the history of Halo is at the moment, the franchise isn't dead yet.